Hello Year 9, welcome back to your second lesson of tectonics this week. Your title of this lesson is to assess the threat of supervolcanoes. We are going to firstly describe what a supervolcano is and how its eruption takes place, then explain the location of Yellowstone and other supervolcanoes, and finally assess the threat that Yellowstone poses. For this lesson you're going to need a pen, pencil and paper or a Word document. On the screen is also the guidance as to which task you should be completing, developing, secure or mastered, relating to your MG grade if you are still unsure. The first part of your learning journey is looking at what a supervolcano is. You're going to use the video linked on the class charts to fill in your storyboard and explain what a supervolcano eruption looks like. If you're working at development level, you're going to draw a picture for each stage of the eruption. If you're working at secure level, you're going to explain what happens at each stage using your pictures and the video linked on class charts. And finally, if you're working at a master level, you're going to explain which stage of eruption we can use best to predict when a supervolcano might erupt. Your second task is to explain the location of supervolcanoes and Yellowstone National Park. You're going to be using these three maps, which are attached on class charts to help you out for your GCSE answers. If you're working at development level, you're going to use a GCSE structure to explain the location of Yellowstone National Park. For this, there is no exception, so you can do two specific points for this. So generally, what continent or country is located in, closer in, north, east, south and west, what part of the country, specifically, what state, and for second specifically, what part of the state. If you're working at a secure level, you will use the maps to describe the distribution of supervolcanoes using the GCSE structure. You're going to tell me generally what are they found along, closer in, they are found on what kind of plate boundaries, specifically an example of where one supervolcano can be found, an exception, which supervolcano location does not fit your general trend. And finally, if you're working at a master level, you will explain if the location of Yellowstone National Park will increase or decrease the threat of eruption. Remember for this one to think about if it's in a HIC or LIC country, if it's in an urban or rural area, the size of the volcano and the population in there. The final part of your learning journey is to assess the threats that Yellowstone poses. You are going to fill in this table looking at social, economic and environmental effects with information here. If you're working at development level, you will match each threat in the bottom table to the correct social, economic or environmental category. If you're working at secure level, you will explain which impacts will be the worst. Will social, economic or environmental impacts be the worst and why? Remember to use because to develop your point further. And finally, if you're working at a master level, you will identify if the impacts are primary or secondary, and then add on any more threats or impacts that you can think of into your table. So developing, match each one into the correct social, economic, and environmental category. Secure, which one is the worst and why. And mastered, identify which impacts are primary impacts and which are secondary impacts. To recap then, what you have to upload onto class charts. For the first part of your learning journey, you will have a picture or a screenshot of your storyboard showing stages of volcano eruptions. That's for your first part of the learning journey. For the second part of your learning journey, you will have a picture or a screenshot of your two GCSE answers to identify where Yellowstone National Park and other supervolcanoes are located. And then for the final part of your learning journey, you will upload one picture or screenshot of your social, economic, environmental table of the impacts and threats from a potential Yellowstone eruption. Well done again for completing your work this week. We look forward to marking it.